The Ironmaster Super Bench Pro is a beast. Not only does this work as a bench for your workouts, but there are additional attachments you can add on to this bench to do things like pull-ups and dips. Now, I personally bought this bench because I was looking to get off my doorway when doing pull-ups. So I have cross grips that go on your door frame. However, this can potentially damage the door frame, causing injury to your home as well as yourself when you go crashing to the floor. That never happened to me, but I want to get rid of using my house as a way to do my workouts and instead have a standalone device, so I went with this bench to try it out. So with that said, does this bench hold up to my personal standards in my home workout equipment? First off, it can support up to 1,000 pounds when laid flat or 600 pounds when set to an incline or vertical position. Since the heaviest dumbbells I personally own go up to 160 pounds together, I am far from reaching either of those weight limits. Also, this bench can be set to 11 different angles ranging from 0 to 85 degrees, so there's a lot you can play with. And what's kind of cool is that you can change this angle by simply using a little foot kickstand that raises a little lever and allows you to move up and down the angle of the bench in a very easy and convenient way, especially if you're wearing shoes. Now the seat that comes with it is detachable, which is one of the first I've seen for this, so you can actually set to two separate heights, 12.5 or 14.5 inches, and it allows you to have it on or off when doing your specific exercise. So with that, let's take a look at the pros and cons list for the Ironmaster Super Bench Pro, starting with the pros. First off, it fits in my closet. This is one of the big scares I thought I was going to have because I wasn't sure if it could fold up and fit in. The bench doesn't fold in half like my old benches. Instead, I just put it up on its side and it fits quite easily. It can actually stand up on its own this way, but luckily it just fits right in my closet. I can still close the doors and we're good to go there. Now I am 5 feet 11 inches tall and this bench is perfect for me. The height for it comes off the ground at 17.2 inches, which I think they're trying to get close to the Olympic lifting height, which I think is around 17 inches. But for me, this feels perfect for my height. When using the actual bench and having the seat on it and having it inclined and all that stuff, if you're over, I'd say 6'1 or 6'2, this might not fit you because your head is going to come up over the back of the bench. So you will have to watch out for that. But anyone around I'd say 5'9 to 6 feet-ish tall, you're probably safe with this bench. You can probably go shorter than 5'9, but that's probably where I'd look for someone who optimally fits this bench. The padding on the bench itself is very comfortable. I believe it's about 2.5 inches thick according to the website. So overall, it feels very comfortable to use. I did this in both an incline, flat, and then I even did chest supported rows with it, and it all felt very good to use. So I have no complaints with the padding there. So it also feels very stable to use versus many of the other ones I've used in the past. I think the main reason is it's a little closer to the ground and the feet are much wider and more solid than the older products like the Flybirds I've used before it. So I think this makes for a more stable product overall. The other ones weren't bad, but this one just feels much more stable when using it, especially on my rug surface. Now for the attachments, and I only got the dip bar and pull-up bar attachments, these were surprisingly stable in use, especially the dip bar. Now the pull-up bar does have a bit of give to it when you get on it, but as soon as I started doing it, I was like, wow, this is not going to fall over at all. So it's kind of weird because you feel like the bench might fall down, but it can easily support my weight. I am 185 pounds, and it can easily support my weight when doing pull-ups. We'll see if I add on a backpack with weight in the future and how that can hold it. But for right now, with just my body weight, this thing is an absolute beast and can hold me very easily. Also, the pull-up bar can be set to many different heights. Now for me, I do have to watch out for the ceiling fan going around, so I actually have to reposition this entirely, or I could set it to one of the lower pull-up bar settings so I wasn't close to the fan. So just note, you can set the actual height of the pull-up bar to a different setting to allow for a higher or lower one. Maybe you want to kind of jump up to the pull-up bar itself, or you want to just kind of have it lower and just stand on it and just do it. But for me, I like to kind of have my legs dangle as much as possible, so I set it as high as possible. I just have to watch out for my ceiling fan. And my last pro is that you can detach the seat, which is really cool. So maybe sometimes you just don't want the seat there. You're doing flat benching and you just want to test it that way. You really don't need the seat. You can just remove it entirely. Yes, you might have to store it somewhere and the little loop on it can be a little awkward, but I just like that you can have the option to remove it if you want to. Now you can't change the angle of the seat, so it's always perpendicular to whatever the backrest is, but overall, I don't think this is going to cause any issue. We'll see in time, and I think it's just a good option to be able to detach it from the bench itself. So that's all the pros. Let's take a look at the cons list for this bench. Now, my first con has to be the price. And I think it's just because I'm comparing this against my older benches, but this one coming in at like $400-ish just for the bench alone is pretty pricey for me. Yes, it has the different attachments, which makes it more worth it in the end, but without it, I'm not sure I'd buy this bench if it was just for the bench alone. It really was because I wanted that pull-up bar option. That's the only reason I even went towards this bench to begin with. So just note, if you don't need attachments or anything like that, I might steer away from this bench, but if you do want them, then this would definitely be a good option because it provides so much more value for you in your home workouts. My next con is that the total weight of the bench was a bit more than I expected and can be a bit clunky when trying to get it around my workout space. Now, I don't have a lot of room in here, so getting and moving this bench around has been quite a hassle, especially if you still have one of the attachments on. Make sure if you're moving this thing around the room that you remove any of the attachments first, because it just gets and starts hitting like my desk and walls and all that stuff. So I always have to make sure I remove that first and then move the bench to where I want to go, then adding any of the attachments back in afterwards. Now, for the attachments of the bench and setting it up, this was really awkward in the beginning to set up, especially if you're someone like me who tried to set it up in the vertical position first and trying to get a giant bar into the bench. So what I did instead was I put the bench almost flat, maybe one from perpendicular to the floor, and then it's much easier to set in the pull-up bar or dip bar itself, especially the pull-up bar because it's a lot bigger and heavier. You set that in, lock it, and then you put it into the vertical position after. That's what I recommend. So here's what you should do. Put the bench in the place you want to be, then put a slight angle on the bench, take the attachment like the pull-up bar and put it in and lock it into place, then put the bar up into the vertical position in order to use the attachment appropriately. And my last con is that because there are extra attachments, unfortunately this does create some clutter in figuring out how I want to store it. Most of the items like the detachable seat, the dip bar are very easy to just throw in my closet with my other items, but the pull-up bar is a very big contraption, really. Like the handles go out pretty wide, and the bar that goes into the bench itself is pretty long. So I did just kind of throw this in with everything else, but it doesn't look that clean when I look in there. So I just kind of close the doors and it's fine, but just know that does take up quite a bit of space, especially if you have that pull-up attachment. So I do plan on this bench becoming my main go-to items, especially with the other attachments in my upcoming workouts. The addition of the pull-up bar is amazing. Yes, it has a little give to it, can be kind of awkward to set up, but again, I get off my door frame and this really allows me to be safer in my workouts and have something a bit more stable to use when doing it. I don't have to worry about my door frame breaking over time or me potentially getting injured, which is again the main reason I bought this to begin with. Now, I'm still going to save my Flybird adjustable bench because the bull bar comes out fall of 2022, and I do plan on testing that. It is currently in pre-order, but I do really want to test that pull-up bar option. It does have dip bar as well for when that comes out, as I think that might be the reason I go back to the other bench to save on a lot of space, but we'll see when that time comes. For now, I think this bench with the pull-up bar and everything will be my go-to device. So if you need some dumbbells to pair with this bench, make sure that you check out my Nuobel adjustable dumbbells as well as the Core Fitness adjustable dumbbells to see if those options work for you in your home gym. But with that, remember to be fit and game on.